Right now, as you're watching this video, the very foundations of America's food system are crumbling beneath our feet. The store shelves you walked past yesterday might be half empty tomorrow, and the prices you complained about last month will seem like bargains compared to what's coming. This isn't fear-mongering or clickbait. This is the harsh reality that industry insiders have been whispering about in boardrooms, while the American public remains blissfully unaware. The numbers don't lie, and they paint a terrifying picture. Food prices have been increasing faster than historical norms throughout 2025, while supply chain disruptions that began during the pandemic have only intensified. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. This crisis didn't happen by accident. If you want to understand what's really happening to America's food supply and how to protect yourself and your family from what's coming, hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment below telling me what food item you've noticed becoming harder to find or more expensive in your area. Your experience matters, and together we can piece together the full scope of this manufactured disaster. The American food system, once the envy of the world, is under unprecedented assault from multiple directions simultaneously. We're witnessing a perfect storm of deliberate policy decisions, corporate consolidation, and manufactured scarcity that threatens to fundamentally transform how Americans access and afford food. The question isn't whether this crisis is real. It's whether you'll be prepared when it reaches your neighborhood. Walk into any grocery store today, and you'll see the early warning signs everywhere. Empty shelves where certain products used to be, temporarily unavailable signs that never seem to come down, and prices that make you do a double take at the register. But these visible symptoms are just the tip of an iceberg that runs much deeper than most Americans realize. The Western United States, responsible for producing a massive portion of America's fruits, vegetables, and nuts, continues to struggle with severe water shortages that have only worsened in 2025. Meanwhile, the Midwest farming regions that feed much of the nation have faced increasingly unpredictable growing seasons, with weather patterns that seem designed to maximize crop failures and minimize yields. But here's where it gets interesting and terrifying. These aren't natural disasters beyond human control. Many of these crises have been deliberately engineered through policy decisions made in corporate boardrooms and government offices, far removed from the American families who will bear the consequences. The consolidation of food production into the hands of a few mega-corporations has created a system so fragile that a single disruption can cascade into nationwide shortages. Consider the egg crisis that has gripped America throughout 2024. And continues into 2025. Bird flu outbreaks have been cited as the primary cause, but industry insiders know the real story. Cal-Maine Foods, one of the largest egg producers, has openly admitted that demand is outpacing available supply. Yet production facilities that could easily be expanded remain deliberately constrained. The mathematics of manufactured scarcity are simple. Control the supply, control the price, control the people. When families are spending more of their income on basic food necessities, they have less money to spend on other things, less time to think about broader political issues, and less energy to question the systems that govern their lives. It's a form of control that's both subtle and devastatingly effective. Restaurant owners and food service professionals are already seeing the writing on the wall. Food shortages lead to delays and disruptions in the supply chain, making it impossible to maintain consistent inventory. Restaurants experience frequent stockouts, resulting in unexpected menu changes and the inability to offer popular items that customers expect. The ripple effects extend far beyond just higher prices. They represent a fundamental breakdown in the reliability of America's food distribution network. The second pillar of this manufactured crisis lies in the systematic destruction of America's agricultural infrastructure. Over the past decade, we've witnessed an alarming trend of food processing plants mysteriously catching fire, livestock facilities being shut down due to sudden disease outbreaks, and small family farms being driven out of business by regulatory burdens that favor large corporate operations. This isn't coincidence, it's coordination. When you destroy the infrastructure that produces food, you create dependency on the remaining systems, which can then be manipulated and controlled. The American food supply has become increasingly centralized, with just a handful of companies controlling vast portions of meat processing, grain distribution, and produce handling. The numbers are staggering and should alarm every American. The national food budget shortfall, the extra money that food-insecure people report needing to cover their basic food needs, has reached $32 billion. That translates to $22.37 per person per week, and this figure has increased for 3 consecutive years. We're not just talking about inconvenience or minor price increases. We're talking about millions of Americans who literally cannot afford to feed themselves adequately. But the crisis goes deeper than simple economics. Climate-related disruptions, supply chain vulnerabilities, and the lingering effects of global events have created a situation where even middle-class families are beginning to struggle with food access. The Western drought isn't just affecting farmers, it's affecting everyone who eats the food those farmers produce, which is virtually every American. Transportation costs have skyrocketed, making it more expensive to move food from farms to processing facilities to distribution centers to stores. Energy costs affect every step of the food production process, from running tractors and harvesting equipment to powering refrigeration systems that keep food fresh during transport and storage. When energy prices rise, food prices rise proportionally, but the impact hits hardest on those who can least afford it. The consolidation of grocery chains means that fewer companies control more of the retail food distribution network. When one major chain experiences problems, entire regions can be affected. When corporate decisions are made to prioritize profits over food security, American families pay the price through reduced selection, higher costs, and decreased reliability of food access. The third devastating aspect of this crisis involves the deliberate manipulation of market forces to create artificial scarcity and drive up prices. Corporate executives have discovered that they can increase profits more effectively by restricting supply than by improving efficiency or reducing costs. This represents a fundamental shift in how food companies operate, from providing abundant, affordable nutrition to managing scarcity for maximum financial extraction. Food and consumer goods sectors saw an 8% decrease in robotic investment during the first half of 2025, even as other industries increased automation. This deliberate reduction in efficiency improvements means that food production remains more expensive and less reliable than it could be with modern technology. Industry analysts attribute this decline to companies having already automated during COVID-19. But the reality is more calculated. When companies choose not to invest in improved production capacity, they're making a strategic decision to maintain scarcity. When they choose not to implement technologies that could reduce costs and increase reliability, they're choosing to keep prices high and supply uncertain. These aren't market failures. They're market manipulations designed to benefit shareholders at the expense of consumers. The global food supply chain wastes 30% of food annually. Yet instead of addressing this massive inefficiency, companies have learned to profit from it. Artificial scarcity created by deliberate waste allows companies to charge premium prices for the remaining 70% while claiming that shortages and high prices are inevitable. Consequences of natural limitations, trade, policies, and tariffs have added another layer of complexity and cost to the food system. When raw materials and agricultural inputs become more expensive due to international trade disputes, those costs get passed directly to consumers through higher food prices. The interconnected nature of the global food system means that disruptions anywhere in the world can affect food availability and affordability in American communities. Supply chain disruptions that began as emergency responses to global events have become permanent features of how food companies operate. Instead of building resilience and redundancy into their systems,